So there's this crazy saying out there. I'm pretty sure everybody's heard of it, but for the people that haven't heard of it, there's this crazy saying out there that, the third time's a charm. And sometimes, in some instances, that's very true. Now, in this case, as far as, let's say, horror movies go, third time can be a charm. All right, let's think of some quick examples right here. Let's say Friday the 13th Part 3. That third time was a charm. Not to say that the first two were bad or anything, but the third movie is special for everybody. I'm pretty sure for all the same reasons. Maybe they got some standout kills, but the main reason that third time was a charm is because it's the first time Jason Voorhees gets his trademark hockey mask, which he would have throughout the rest of the series. It was something magical, man. It was a magical moment. What else was the third time that was a charm? Nightmare on Elm Street 3, The Dream Warriors. For me, that's my favorite sequel in the entire series. They really added a whole bunch of elements. They added a bunch of characters that you liked a hell of a lot more than, if not the first movie, then definitely the second movie. You had Kristen, Kincaid. Freddy was kind of starting to become a stand-up comedian. He kind of lost a little bit of the intimidation factor, but it was still pretty decent. I don't want to go too far into the examples, but we know there are certain third entries that really stand out and excuse me, they really shine, man. Not this episode, not these instances, not at all. And the topic at hand, people, if y'all can't tell by the title where I'm going with this, we are going to be talking about third entry fumbles in certain horror franchises. You can't really call it a franchise if the third entry was so bad they stopped making these fucking movies, or they had to go back to the drawing board, or they had to turn it into a TV show. Nah, man, these are some of the worst. These are the ones that came to mind first, but these are some of the worst third entries in horror series that I have ever seen, man. And really what triggered it, I'm gonna tell y'all straight up. What triggered it was, yesterday I watched I'll Always Know What You Did Last Summer. This movie is also on the list, but we'll get to it eventually. It's not my first or second, on this list, but we'll get to that movie. But that was a big trigger for this. And I said, why, for a third entry, which is supposed to bring a lot of things full circle back to the first one, that's something third entries always do. But it just, I didn't even make it all the way through the movie. I have seen it before, but I don't know. I had time to kill yesterday. It was a snow day. Felt like I was back in school or some shit. When boredom strikes, man, self-torture is a motherfucker. I'm pretty sure y'all know that. Some of y'all can relate because y'all watch a lot of bad movies just like I do. But once I turned it off before it was even halfway done, I'm just like, why would y'all take this beloved property based off of a beloved novel and turn it into this? I don't understand why. I don't know if they get happy feet because the second movie wasn't supposed to be as good as it was, or even as close to being as good as the first one. Like, I don't know if they get happy feet and just go out on a limb and say, you know what, we're going to go all out with this third movie. I have no idea what their intentions are, what their motivation is half the fucking time, especially in the case of this episode, especially when it comes to these third entries. So let's just jump into it, people. Let's jump into it. And I don't know if people have seen these movies that I'm about to mention. There's 5 on this list, and some people might disagree with me. That's fine. But this is one of those cases where I don't give a shit. I care that y'all have an opinion and y'all disagree and y'all have y'all reasons why y'all disagree. That's fine, but I don't give a shit. These movies are terrible. These third entries I'm about to jump into, people, and I'm gonna tell y'all exactly why, man. There's a reason, there's a method to my madness, man. If y'all don't know this by now, I don't just do these topics for no reason, man. I explain. I get into detail. I take notes for a reason. You know what I mean? But without further ado, people, let's jump into number 1 of the third entry fumbles in these horror franchises, man, or horror series. Because like I said, franchise would probably require more than 3 films, but they weren't that lucky. Now, number 1, and it hurts. The only reason this hurts is because the main, the titular character is one of my favorite actors of all time, and he's still around, still very much in the game, still acting movies, TV, whatever you have it. Candyman 3, Day of the Dead, which came out in 1999. Now, this movie was directed by someone named Tori Meyer, who did a movie called Sleep Stalker, never seen it before, and has TV credits to his name such as The Lot, never seen it. Buffy the Vampire Slayer, of course, I was a big fan of that. That's a good sign, right? Angel, which was a Buffy spinoff, never got into that show. I liked him in the Buffy TV show, but not enough to watch a whole fucking, bunch of seasons with just him and all these other side characters. And he's also got writing credits, or TV credits rather, to Smallville. Never got into that. I used to, I had like a maybe 2-day crush on Kristen Cruick, I think was her name, like when I was a young boy and Smallville came out, but never got into that show at all, man. Now, the script also was written by Tori Meyer and someone named Al Septian, who wrote such classics as Chairman of the Board with Carrot Top. I'm pretty sure everybody loves that movie, right? I don't even fucking know how Carrot Top got booked for anything, man. I don't believe that is a guy with any talent whatsoever, but that's just my personal opinion. He also wrote Wrong Turn 2, not a terrible sequel, but in no way was it matching up with the first movie, like the integrity of the first movie. The gore was a hell of a lot better, but Wrong Turn 2 is not a great movie, man, to say the least. But he also wrote Leprechaun 2. Leprechaun 2 is a mixed bag. When I was a kid, I had a crush on that other girl too, until Leprechaun turned into her and made her titties turn into like lawnmower blades or whatever the fuck he did. But it's neither here nor there, man. Now, really quick, the first Candyman was, I want to say it was a cult classic, but I hail it as a mainstream classic, man. Candyman was a boogeyman, a black antagonist boogeyman at that, but he wasn't necessarily always in a physical form. It was more of a ghost story. One of the reasons why the Nia DaCosta, Jordan Peele, you can call it a reboot, but it's a direct sequel. That's one of the reasons why they wanted to call it a spiritual sequel, because it is a lot of spiritual, ghostly, supernatural shit going on with this character and with these movies. The second movie, Farewell to the Flesh, I know it didn't really get nowhere near as much as the money or the raves that the first one got, but I still like Farewell to the Flesh as a decent follow-up to the first movie. And I definitely like the cast. It was an underrated cast in that movie. This 1999, they up and decided, you know what, we don't need to do a theatrical release for this shit. We can send it straight to home video. Everybody can, you can make it a Blockbuster night at this point, man. I wonder if it was West Coast Video still around at that time. I'm pretty sure it was just Blockbuster, and West Coast was already out the picture at that time. But Tony Todd comes back as Candyman, and in the lead role you've got Donna DeErico, who plays Caroline McKeever, I think her name is. Her character is the daughter of, what is that woman's name? I can't remember Kelly something, but I can't remember her name for Farewell to the Flesh, because remember, she was pregnant at some point in the movie, and she had her daughter at the end of the movie. So this is supposed to be her daughter. So it's still in line with Candyman's bloodline. Now, Donna DeErico, if nobody knows, she was her most notable role, I mean, for me personally, was probably Baywatch. And I think by the time she came in, I had either stopped watching Baywatch or I was on my way out the door for sure. Now, also in Candyman 3 Day of the Dead, you got Nick Corey. He plays David. He was Rod. He plays Rod in Nightmare on Elm Street. That's, I'm pretty sure, what everybody knows him for mainly. You had Alexia Robinson, who plays Tamara. She was the girl in Total Recall who kept changing the color on her fingernails in the original when at the actual Recall Center. And then you've got I'm not going to get too much into the cast. You got Mark Adair Rios, who plays Mickey. He was actually a decent character and a decent actor. He got wasted, literally wasted. He was one of the first two kills in the movie. One of the first two kills in the movie, but the plot basically is, it's the same shit. It's, there's a girl who's having, she's the only difference is she's having these visions of her mother, her mother's suicide or supposed suicide. Of course, Candyman killed her, but made, covered up to look like suicide, or otherwise, who knows what the fuck it was. But, she's having these visions, and, she goes to an art gallery, and her friend is an art dealer, or whatever the case may be. And long story short, Candyman is summoned through the mirror, and he's on his Be My Victim shit again. It's the same shit from every movie, and that's fine. That's fine. As if you can do the same premise each time but put a slight spin on it, cool. I have no problem with that, because it's only but so much you can do with a Candyman movie that's in succession with these, with that storyline with Helen and the woman, the actress from the second movie. It's only but so much shit you can do in the same continuity. But this shit here, man, I don't know if Tony Todd had to pay a phone bill or two and just needed a check really quick, or he wanted to just whatever money he got for it. I'm pretty sure of course he got the most. He's the lead role for God's sakes. And, of course he's top billing, but I don't know how he even attached himself to this script. I don't know if it was different on paper. I don't know how he attached himself to this project, this cast, this director, and that's nothing against, Donna DeErico, Nick Corey, and Alexa, like the people I mentioned. There's nothing against them, but this movie's a fucking mess. This movie's a mess, man. And I know that they tried to capitalize off the first two movies and they tried to throw little nods back, little nostalgia here and there, but nothing, barely anything worked in this fucking sequel, man. And for this to be the third entry in a Candyman movie, and for the second movie to be way better than it should have been, when Candyman really didn't need a sequel, you could have went along with it, but I would have been cool if they never made any more Candyman movies ever again, because you're not going to, the bar was set too high. With Bernard Rose, the one that directed the first one. I actually did commentary for that if y'all want to check it out. But Bernard Rose and Clive Barker, what they did with that first movie, with the property in general, the bar is set too high to ever top that first movie. At best, you can have something like Farewell to the Flesh. You can have something that looks like this new Candyman that's coming out next year, because that looks like it's going to be really good. But this, it's like they didn't even try. It's like they knew they were going straight to DVD and they just said, fuck it. They said, fuck it with the directing. They said, fuck it with the, the atmosphere. They said, fuck it with the ghostly, aspect of the entire movie. Just that unsettling, uncomfortable feel that you had in the first movie. Not so much the second, but that first one. There are a lot of very uncomfortable scenes in that movie, man. I don't know what their motivation was for this fucking movie, man, because it's a mess. It's a mess. Now, there are pros here. There are pros. One pro, and I actually like it personally. I don't know about anybody else, but I actually like the opening title sequence. I do, because, the credits are rolling and you see what is, they're like, it's like light beaming off of this, this whatever this object is. And of course, once as the credits keep going and the title sequence keeps happening, they're maneuvering the camera around in a way that's going around this object, but you start to get the gist of it. And it's like, oh, they're maneuvering the camera around a bloody hook as the title cards are going and the cast members' names and the crew members' names. And I'm like, okay, that's cool. It's not a standard opening, but the music is what took me out of that, because it's kind of like some hip hop type of music, which is like, I get it, man. Candyman, that's a movie for us. And when I say us, I'm talking about black folks. That's our black horror movie pretty much. But don't put no instrumental behind that shit. That was one of the things about the first two movies, was the score was so like haunting. It was so eerie. It was so ominous that it added to shit being uncomfortable. It was almost like a symphony. A lot of the times it was like, it was like they were a part of an orchestra and the music in the first two movies. But it's like, don't give me no fucking DJ Arms How to Be an MC instrumental in the beginning of a fucking Candyman movie. But if you take that out, the sequence as they're gliding the camera along that bloody hook is actually pretty decent. I like that. Another pro that they do have, there's a lot of half decent gore in this movie, man. When Caroline is having the flashbacks of her mother, gets her throat cut, but when she's walking towards Caroline, her eyes are all blacked out and there's this big slit in her neck and the blood's pouring. Like when people get their throat sliced and like, ever since I saw Robbie Morgan, who plays Annie in the first Friday the 13th, get her throat sliced, and Tom Savini fucking murdered those effects, man. But something about, like, ever since that movie, I hate watching people get their throats cut on screen. Sometimes they do it lazy, but other times, like when they put that prosthetic in there and that shit separates, and that's nasty. That's a good effect. There is a scene where there's a cop who says Candyman in his overhead mirror in the police car. He says it, he says it as many times as he has to say it, and he's like laughing, and then he starts coughing, and Caroline's in the back seat of the cop car, and she's like, "Are you okay?" And then he's still coughing, and then a hook just goes fucking flying through his mouth and out the back of his head, and It's a really good effect, man. It's bloody as shit. It's gory. It's nasty. Candyman starts twisting the hook inside of his mouth before he pulls the shit out and, you know, starts talking his Shakespearean be my victim type of stuff. There is decent. And, you know, of course, Candyman's got to do some impalings, like some, you know, he'll impale somebody through the back and it'll come out their stomach. He'll impale somebody through the stomach, which they tried to do with Alexia Robinson's character. I know that was a nod back to the main chick protagonist, her black friend getting murdered by Candyman. I understand that was a nod back to the first one, but there are decent gore effects in here. I will give them that. One of the last pros here, because there aren't many, one of the last pros here is Nick Corri. He seems like he knows he's in a B movie that's going straight to DVD or VHS at the time, but he's still got aggression. He's still got charm in this movie. He gives you everything, kind of everything and more that he gave you in 1984 when he played Rod in Nightmare on Elm Street. So I definitely appreciated the fact that Nick Corri, being as though people know him from the genre, and I think at this time we definitely saw him in not only Nightmare on Elm Street, but he had a cameo in Wes Craven's New Nightmare playing himself. But it was good to see him staying true to the genre and actually showing people like, listen, I can act. I don't give a shit if this is, you know, a B movie or whatever. I'm going to, I'm sorry. And actually prior to this, he also was in Vampire in Brooklyn. He played one of the Goombas that got torn apart in the alleyway by Maximilian. But it was good to see Nick Corri in here. Now the cons, everything else in this movie is a con. The timeline is fucked up because it's like if Caroline McKeever is supposed to be the daughter of the woman in the second movie, then the woman in the second movie, they had to get a different actress because I want to say her name was Kelly Rowan. I really want to say that actress name in Farewell to the Flesh is Kelly Rowan. If that's supposed to be her, the mother that supposedly killed herself, they had to recast an actress, but they would have had an actress that was a lot older. They kind of tried to go with somebody that kind of looked like her and kind of looked like Veronica Cartwright, because Veronica Cartwright played Kelly Rowan's mother in the second movie. But she would have been way older if Caroline McKeever is a grown-ass woman. There's no way. Like, this timeline just makes no fucking sense. Like, it seems like Caroline grew up in a matter of, like, I don't know, couple years or so, because the neighborhood looks the same. Everything looks the same in this movie. Not necessarily the area, because the first one was in Cabrini Green, the second one was in New Orleans somewhere. The third one, I don't even remember where this shit takes place because it's just a regular generic setting. You know what I'm saying? And another con here that's really big for me is they changed the backstory. They changed the backstory flashback sequence for Candyman. Now in the second movie, that was a big part of that story where they show Candyman getting chased by the townspeople. They show him getting his arms, sawed off with the rusty blade or the rusty hacksaw. They show him get stung to death by bees after they smear the honey on him, and they show the kid like lick his fingers, and he's like, Candyman. And that shit alone makes you look at the fucking, I know they say his name throughout the entire movie, but that makes you look at the invisible camera like, all right, kid, we fucking understand how he got his name, dog. You ain't have to do all that in slow motion and all that. Then the townspeople all laugh. It's an interesting scene, but I just hate that fucking kid. But they changed the backstory because when they show the flashback at some point in the movie, Candyman's fully clothed. He's tied to a tree, or tied to like whatever the fuck they tie him to, and he's literally being stung to death by the bees, but he's laughing. You know what I'm saying? And they didn't show him get his hand sawed off or anything like that. They changed the entire like, don't play with me, man. You're not going to keep changing up the backstory and changing up the narrative like people like me don't see through shit like that. You can't insult my intelligence, man. That's one thing that I hate when horror franchises do it. They just throw shit at you with no explanation at all as to why they change it. If you explained why they changed it, or explain that, somebody had the story wrong and this is why it happened type of shit, like, I can understand that. This might be a nitpick, but it goes in line with the fact that one of the pros that I gave it was the gore and the effects. But this is definitely a big con, and this is the last one I'm going to get to before I move on, because I don't want to take too much time up on this or the whole episode in general. When Candyman, in every movie, Candyman has to reveal his chest. He has to open up that fly-ass peacoat, and you got to see his exposed ribs, his intestines, his stomach. Tony Todd, you know better. You know better. When he opens up his coat in the final act of the movie, His shit, you can literally see that it's a prosthetic chest layered on top of Tony Todd's chest. Unless that motherfucker like just put on a bunch of pounds and got a beard chest and belly, there's no fucking way that's Candyman's chest and his stomach. It is one of the cheapest. I mean, I can appreciate the hard work that went into creating a practical effect for a horror movie. I'm a practical effects guy. I prefer it over CG, honestly. But don't play with me, man. You're not going to put this big ass prosthetic. Like, they're not even trying to hide the fact that it is a fake built on chest on top of Tony Todd. Like, I can see if they cut away and then did a close up of his chest. Like, I think they did that in the first movie or so. But he reveals it and you literally see all of him. You see him in the entire frame, probably from the waist on up, if I'm not mistaken. And when he unveils it slow. And it's like, it looks like it could just drop off of his fucking chest, man. This movie is a mess, people. And I can understand why after 1999, this shit probably sold like 3 copies over the course of a year on VHS. People probably walked in, they probably spread the word of mouth, excuse me, in like Blockbuster Video or Hollywood Video, whatever, and was just like, listen, man, do not rent this movie because it's terrible. And as a follow-up, again, to a movie that really shouldn't have been as good as it was, this shit is disrespectful, man. And I really don't understand why Tony Todd attached himself to this project, man. I don't get it, people. So Candyman 3 is the first on this list, and I actually made a mistake because I didn't think that I was going to get to this movie so soon. But number 2, people, is I'll Always Know What You Did Last Summer. Go figure. The one that inspired this fucking episode in the first place, which came out in 2006. Now, this movie was directed by a guy named, I think he's French, if I'm not mistaken, a guy named Sylvain White. And I had no idea until I was, excuse me, people, I need some goddamn ice water or something. But I had no idea this guy had directed The Losers. It's a DC movie that's really slept on. It's got Jeffrey Dean Morgan, what's that guy's name? Idris Elba, Columbus Short, Zoe Saldana, Chris Evans. The cast is really good. It's got Jason Patrick in it as a villain. He's a weak villain. I don't like him at all. He's a really pompous, arrogant ass villain, but I just can't stand him. But the movie, I love The Losers, man. So it's hard to believe that this is the same director of this movie. And the movie was written by a guy named Michael D. Wise. I want to say Wise. Let's go with Wise. Hopefully I'm saying that right. This guy wrote The Butterfly Effect 2. I've never seen it. I absolutely love the first one. I think the first movie's underrated as hell. He wrote Octopus. Never seen it. Probably never will, because they had a sequel to it as well. And I'm just like, nah, I'm cool. And he also wrote Hostel 3, which will play a big part in this episode, people. I promise y'all it'll come full circle. But we already see what we're dealing with here as far as the writing goes. And I'm not going to diss Sylvain White too much because he has done a movie that I absolutely do like. Now, this, I don't even remember these characters' names. I remembered, I wrote down a couple actors and actresses. That's it. But these characters, I didn't give a shit about any of these characters, man. But before I jump into the characters, we know what's up, man. We know I Know What You Did Last Summer was a post-Scream slasher movie, again, written by Kevin Williamson, who wrote Scream. Kevin Williamson was the it guy as far as the screenplays went back in the day, the teen dramas and the teen horrors and shit like that. He was the guy to go to. Now, I Know What You Did Last Summer was based off of a Lewis Duncan novel that was loosely based around the plot of the movie, but I think in the novel they were more so trying to cover up the fact that they accidentally killed a child. I think it was a hit and run and they killed a child, or somehow a child was involved, I think. And the friends were trying to cover it up. I don't think there was any slasher in a slicker or slasher at all involved in the novel, but they kind of turned it on its ear and turned it into a thing. And not only was it a decent slasher with a really decent teen cast at the time that was popping elsewhere, but it spawned a lot of it was inspiration for a lot of other slashers that came out in the 90s and early 2000s for sure. Like I want to say, had there been no Scream, there would have been no I Know What You Did Last Summer. But had there been no I Know What You Did Last Summer, there would have been no Urban Legend, because I Know What You Did Last Summer, what it did was it gave you like this kind of Scooby-Doo mystery type of thing. And as much as it got on my nerves, it's one of the reasons why that movie is as good as it is, because it does keep you guessing. And it got confusing to me when I first saw it. And I wasn't all for the, we got to go to Missy to find out who Billy Blue was. We got to go to Billy Blue to find out why his boat's named Billy Blue. We got to find out who owns this boat. We got to find out that David Egan was drinking, and we got to find out that it wasn't David Egan that we hit. And we got to find out whose boot it was. And it's like, come on, man. Like, I'm tired. Like, can we just unveil this motherfucker and just get down to the nitty gritty and find out who it is? And of course, we found out it was Ben Willis, played by Muse Watson. Now, the second movie, I did commentary for both these movies, if y'all want to check it out. But the second movie, for me personally, unpopular opinion, again, I love the second movie so much better. I think it's so superior to the first movie. I Still Know What You Did Last Summer. I like the cast way better. You got Brandy was in it, Mekhi Phifer, Bill Cobbs, Jennifer Esposito. What's that guy's name? Jeffrey Combs from The Reanimator. You had fucking Jack Black, who I can't stand in that movie, but he's in it. Can't take that away from him. It was a good cast, man. And you had Jennifer Love Hewitt and Freddie Prinze Jr. come back as Ray and Julie. But I loved the sequel way better because it was straightforward. You knew Ben Willis was back. You knew it literally was like an urban legend because his hook was his hand, because his hand got cut off in the first movie. So it literally was like an urban legend come to life. And it was no Scooby-Doo shit. It was him, even though they tried to do the red herring thing and be like, oh, well, Estes, Bill Cobb's character is the killer. He's doing voodoo. No, it's Ben Willis fucking shit up, coming back for revenge. It gave me the violence. It gave me everything straightforward. As a kid, it also gave me Jennifer Love Hewitt and Brandy and some choice clothing, but that's neither here nor there. I love that fucking sequel, man. And they left it open, whether it was a dream sequence or not, they left it open again. Cause clearly it was a dream sequence in the first one, cause Julie didn't get attacked through the shower glass in the first one, because if so, they would have explained that. But at the end, it's like, I wanted to see whether that was a dream sequence or not, cause Ben Willis is under her bed and pulls her under the bed when Ray's, in the bathroom or wherever the hell he's at. So let's cut to 2006, people. We got brand new characters, and amongst those new characters is an actress named Brooke Nevin, and there's a guy named David Petco. I don't know. Y'all know how I am with these last names. Petco. So this guy David, he is one of those guys who literally dies in like every movie he's in. I really want to say he died in this. But y'all can see how interested I am in these characters, right? I don't even remember if this motherfucker died. I'm pretty sure he did. But he was the guy playing Evan in Final Destination 2 who gets the ladder through his eye. He's in Alien vs. Predator Requiem, another underrated sequel. I don't give a fuck what anybody thinks about it. I love it. He's in that movie. He's the guy in the gun shop who, he's actually the asshole ex-boyfriend who beats up Ricky, and he's like, find your keys in 30 minutes or less, asshole. Like, I hate that motherfucker in like every movie he's in. I don't know what type of agent he has, but he needs a better one, because I'm sick of him playing these douchey ass characters. But another person we got in this movie, surprisingly, was Don Shanks. Now, if nobody knows who Donald Shanks is, for one, he plays Ben Willis, the undead. Yes, undead. We will get to that, people. The undead Ben Willis, slicker fisherman killer in this movie. But Don Shanks, if you don't know, Don Shanks actually played Michael Myers in Halloween 5. Did commentary for that too if y'all want to check it out. But I'm like, okay, Don Shanks is up in here. Let's do it. He's a big imposing guy, right? This will be good. Like, we got Don Shanks. Cool. It's a new cast of characters. I can adjust to this, man. I can get used to this. Fine. But then I'm like, there's no Julie James. There's no Ray. There's no Carla Wilson. There's nobody from the last movie in here, so my continuity is already fucked. So to spin the plot really quick, what happens is there's an amusement park in town, and the main 4 or 5 kids, they're sharing the slicker fisherman story and the Ferris wheel. And what happens is someone shows up in a slicker with a hook at the amusement park, the carnival thing, and starts scaring everybody, and people think it's real. So automatically the audience members are thinking, of course, the audience members at home, because this went straight to DVD. But people are thinking that this is real. So there's a guy who's like on a rooftop platform or something like that. It's a platform that's really high up, and he's on a fucking skateboard. I don't know if he was training for the X Games or what. So he's trying to like basically escape the fisherman, and he ends up falling off the roof. And we find out when the crew gets away that it was a prank. So the fisherman, unveils himself, and it's their friend, and was like, yo, how we do? That was a great prank, right? It was a great prank, right? And they're just like, yeah, all right, well, let's go find our friend, talking about the guy that was on the skateboard. And when they go find this motherfucker, he fell off that roof or whatever that platform was and got impaled on this spike on the back of a truck or the back of some type of equipment. He fucks himself up and he's dead. So what they have to do, of course, they have to go back to the original thing that was in the first movie. And, they're like, they throw away the slicker, the slicker and the hook, and they throw away all the shit that they had that was involved in the prank going wrong. And they say, listen, we will take this to the grave. We'll never tell anybody about this shit ever again. It's a secret that'll die with us. And unless it dies with us, then somebody will always know what we did last summer and all this other shit. This movie fucking sucks, y'all. Fucking sucks. Now I know a lot of people will challenge me on this and say, I know what you did I still know what you did last summer was garbage. Bullshit. That movie gave me, like I said, straightforward horror movie slasher, everything I wanted. Gave me eye candy, gave me, Mekhi Phifer was the token black guy, but he was like comic relief. He was funny as shit. He was relatable. And one of the things that the movie also gave me was, I can't remember my thought, people, but this movie, that's what I was about to say. The movie, it gave me culture. It's on an island with a bunch of, there's a lot of black people in this movie. Only one of them makes it out. But I love that there was a lot of black people in the movie because I could root for Brandy. I could root for Mekhi Phifer. I could root for Bill Cobbs. Whatever the guy's name was that played the dockhand guy. I think his name was Derek. He gets slashed across the face. He dies, of course. But I'm like, yo, let's go. We got some color up in this bitch, man. Let's get it. I love that about the movie. And while there's no color in this movie, that's fine. I can deal with that. I dealt with that with the first movie, and I deal with that with a lot of other slashers. That doesn't make or break a movie for me, but this shit sucks. The acting is terrible. The plot, just the execution overall is terrible. It has nothing on these previous two movies, man. And I can understand why they had to go back to the drawing board after this shit, because, look. Let me not go overboard. There are pros here. The violence in this movie is not bad, yo. I'm not gonna lie. It doesn't live up to the violence I got, and I still know what you did last summer, because the first movie is very tame. It's tame in a way that Halloween is tame, in the sense that you can imply violence and not have a shit ton of gore and a shit ton of blood, and it still be a little effective. Or you can sometimes not show anything at all and just leave it to the imagination again, and it's still effective. That's fine. The second movie, if you're gonna give me gore, give it to me in spades. I'm cool with that. This one, it's not, like I said, it's not as effective as far as the violence goes in the second movie, but there are moments, man, where shit does get down and dirty and it gets vicious, because this slicker, he's brutal, man. I can't lie. And that's another pro for me, is that the slicker, Ben Willis, does look cool. The slicker looks a little different than it does, and we go back to not seeing his face in the movie because there's a big reveal at the end of it that we'll get to in a second. But the slicker, Ben Willis in his slicker looks cool. The hook looks cool. Him just overall looks cool. He looks imposing. It's decent. Everything else sucks, man. Everything else really, really sucks about this movie. Let me take a breather and relax before I get myself worked up. But this movie's terrible, man. The acting's terrible. There's no Julie James, who, you can't just have two successful movies in what you want to make a franchise out of and just not have her back for the third one. It didn't make any fucking sense. I don't even know if there's any mention of Julie James or Ray or Carla, or if they died or they went missing. I don't know if there's any mention, because that's just how boring the fucking movie is. And one of the biggest cons was, regardless if you got Don Shanks, who's an imposing figure in costume or not, he's just an imposing guy, period. Whether you got him or not, Ben Willis is a fucking zombie? Like, we supernatural now? Like, that's the big reveal, people. And mind you, it's in these really strange cuts. The edits are really fucking weird in this, and I don't know if they did it to add some type of flair or flavor to it, but it just doesn't work for a fucking I Know What You Did Last Summer movie. But Ben Willis is a fucking zombie. Like when they reveal Ben Willis, his face is he's got the dead eyes. He's literally a bald-headed zombie, and I don't know what they were going for, man. Like I get it. You want to make a twist and you want to have this and that and you want to do something different. I'm just like, I think it's because this is the one that kicked it off that I was just like, this is the one that hurt a little more than others. Ben Willis is a zombie, yo. And I forgot how they dispose of Ben Willis at the end. I think he gets sucked into like a corn thresher or something like that. I can't remember, yo. I really want to say he gets sucked into a corn thresher. It's the same thing that they killed the main kid in Children of Corn 2, when he gets sucked into that thing that they, I don't fucking know what it is. It's almost like a wood chipper, but it's for like cornfields and stuff like that. Excuse me, but the movie sucks, man. And the sad thing is they actually were going to go ahead and make an I'll Always Know What You Did Last Summer with Jennifer Love Hewitt, with Freddie Prinze Jr., with Brandy. I would have to go on like IMDb or something like that and look in the trivia section, because I don't know why they didn't go with that, because I'm pretty sure as I don't know if I Still Know What You Did Last Summer made as much money as the first one, but it still made money. You know what I mean? It still was a big thing, and it's sad that they didn't get to make that with the big names that they ended the last movie with. They just went along and tried to do a straight to DVD cash grab. That's all they wanted to do. They wanted to make a straight to DVD cash grab. They wanted to cash in on the name of the last summer movies, and they didn't want to bring anybody back. I don't know what the fuck was happening with the contracts or anything like that, but what they did was bring in a bunch of unknown actors who are not going to headline any fucking thing. They don't have anybody to headline anything. I think Jennifer Love Hewitt prior to or during what the hell was she on, Party of Five or something like that? And you know, the people they had in the movies were, you know, these teen beat big names for the mid 90s, the early 90s, the late 90s, whatever you want to call it. There's nobody headline in this movie, so nobody gives a shit about the actors and the actresses, or even the fucking characters for that matter. The movie fucking sucks. It sucks. And I can understand why they went back to the drawing board, because now they've got this what do you call it? They've got this Netflix series coming out. From what I understand, James Wan is producing it. They've got a pilot episode, I think, locked and loaded, ready to go. I'm actually interested. I think it's Netflix. Don't quote me on that. It might be a Netflix series. I Know What You Did Last Summer. I thought they were going to go and gear more towards the novel, but I understand that they are gearing back towards, you know, the serial killer. I don't know if this is going to be a slicker. I don't know if they're going to do, you know, like some type of Scream thing and change up the costume. I'm not sure, but I'm curious to see what they do, because it'll be a breath of fresh air after the shitstorm we got, which was I'll Always Know What You Did Last Summer. Speaking of shitstorms, since we're on the topic, which is the topic of this entire episode, this is almost non-existent, and I was actually excited to see it. Whether it went straight to DVD or not, I was excited to see it back in 2011. I remember grabbing the DVD from my Connect, and I remember watching it. And by the time it was over, I'm like, this wasn't even better. This was in no way. It was another one of those things where they cashed in, thinking they could do something decent with these no-name actors and these uninteresting characters. I'm not going to say they were all the way uninteresting, but they, if anything, it's not saying much, but they're more interesting than the characters from the movie I was just talking about. And this movie, people, like I said, 2011, it came out, Hostel 3. Now, Hostel 3, man, this shit here, boy. Scott Spiegel directed this, and Scott Spiegel is a very interesting director to me. I'm not going to say he's a good one. I'm not going to say he's a bad one. I'm going to say he's interesting. The liberties, the cojones on this motherfucker to do these direct to DVD sequels. I don't really know, like, what's up with this dude, man, because the one movie that I know that he directed that I'm most familiar with is From Dusk Till Dawn 2, and that is a name we will get familiar with, not part 2, but we will get familiar with the From Dusk Till Dawn title in a little bit. But he directed From Dusk Till Dawn 2, and I don't know how many people have seen it. If you are a purist of the first movie, do not watch that second movie. if you are a purist of the first movie and you're listening to me say this right now, and you are tempted by all means to go see what this shit is all about, trust me, if you are a smoker, get you some herbal refreshments, some edibles or something. If you are a drinker, get you a 6-pack or a bottle of your finest alcohol and have at it, man. Please. Now the cast from Dusk Till Dawn 2, I'm not going to jump too much into this. Maybe I'll do like an Intox commentary for something or something for it eventually. But the cast is actually decent. Dwayne Whitaker, Robert Patrick, Muse Watson, can't remember the other guy's name. Danny Trejo's back in it. I'm not going to spoil anything, but this guy, Scott Spiegel, he's a bold motherfucker for the shit that he does in that sequel from Dusk Till Dawn 2. But the writers here, and I really don't want to believe this, but you know, my sources tell me that I looked it up. Eli Roth co-wrote this, who was the creator of the first 2 Hostel movies. It's really hard to believe he attached himself to this. I know it's still a Hostel movie at the end of the day, but I'm not buying it. But Eli Roth is credited as a writer on this, and so is our good buddy Michael D. Wise, who did The Butterfly Effect 2. Now, this guy, Michael D. Wise, is on a roll, man. I don't know what his obsession is with these fucking straight-to-DVD shit sequels. I don't know. But, basically, this movie has, they're not really names that I know, per se. You got Brian Holliday, who plays Scott. He was in this movie called American Sniper. Never seen it. Probably seen it on TV. Skipped past it. Kip Pardue, who plays Carter. It just dawned on me that Kip Pardue, who plays Carter, he's like I think he's the guy that betrays everybody in the movie. Spoiler alert. Fuck this movie. I don't care. He actually is the one that they call Sunshine in Remember the Titans, the gay football player. And he's a decent actor, man. Whether his character was gay or not, I actually loved his character in Remember the Titans. But he plays like the slime ball scheming dude in this one, who has like a villainous reveal and shit. Then you got John Hensley, who plays Justin. And he was in that movie Teeth. I would not recommend that movie, Teeth, unless you have teenage children and you want them to know the dangers of sex, or you want them to practice safe sex or just not have any sex at all. Teeth is a really fucked up movie. I don't even want to get into it, man, because that shit scarred me. There was only one. I only need one viewing for that movie. Only one. That shit left this mark. It left this mark on me, and that's all I'm gonna say. Now, Hostel 3, it's basically the same premise, but in the first movie you had the backpackers going to Slovakia and all that type of stuff. You had Jay Hernandez, Derek Richardson. I can't remember the guy's name who played Oli. Then in the second movie, you had pretty much the same premise, but you just had girls in there. You had Bijou Phillips, and I can't remember the other girls' names. There was the one girl, Heather Mazzillo. I can't remember, but she played Randy's sister, Martha Meeks, in Scream 3. And these are the same premises. You have these Americans who are backpacking. They run into the wrong motherfucker who gives them, advice like, listen, I know where you can go to have a good time. And, in the first case, in the case of the first movie is, I know where you can go to fuck girls and go to, brothels and stuff like that. The second one, the girls are just backpacking and they're trying to look for a good time and stuff like that. But you have these, Slovakians who basically prey on Americans. They bid on Americans and, the high, like, they bid on Americans, and Americans are worth the most money, and basically they take you to this torture place and they fuck you up, and you have Americans that do this to Americans for money, just for the thrill. They don't do it for money. They pay the people, the torturers, basically they pay them to torture you. They don't get money for it. They get off on torturing motherfuckers. And Hostel, I did commentary for the first one. It was actually my Cringe City edition commentary. Hostel is the reason, and I've said this before, it's the reason why I decided to not go to Amsterdam. Like, I remember years ago, there was a bunch of us, we wanted to plan a trip to Amsterdam, and I saw Hostel and I immediately bitched up and I said, nope, I'm not doing it. Because I know if I go missing, that's one thing. And I will want y'all to look for me, but I don't expect y'all to look for me. But if one of y'all go missing, y'all got a certain amount of hour window before I fucking pack up and roll. I'm sorry. I will tell somebody that y'all, like, if it's one of my homies, I'll be like, listen, he ran off with some Slovakian girl. I don't know what happened. I'm sorry, man. Listen, can't do it. Cannot do it. Now, this case It's a bachelor party, but it's in Vegas, and that's the twist on it. You know, you got these guys. There's one guy getting married, and he's with his friends in Vegas, and then they end up in the wrong fucking place. And it's the same premise. The same premise. The only twist is that their friend is he's a part of it. Now, with that being said, I know I didn't get too much into the plot or the twists and all the turns and the curves and all that type of stuff. That's because I don't give a shit. There are no pros here. Usually, and I say pros for the corniest movies sometimes. There are no pros here. Therefore, there are all cons here, man. The movie sucks. I don't give a shit about any of these characters. And I'm going to keep this brief, man. I don't care about any of the characters. The violence is boring. The plot's boring. Everything about this movie is boring. The acting is boring. It's a snooze fest. It's a fucking snooze fest. They even have a scene where, they do the quintessential scene where there's one person that gets killed where they really want you to feel sorry for him. And if I'm not mistaken, there's a guy in a room, the one they want you to feel sorry for. He's like the more soft-spoken one. He's in a room, and I think that there's someone in a mask in that room that keeps shooting him with arrows until he dies. But the twist on that is that there's an audience watching him inside this room, just getting off on watching him being murdered in this room. Nah, nice try, but no. Fuck this movie, man. This movie sucks. There's nothing going for it. I'm surprised Eli Roth even has anything to do with this movie. It's just bad, and I'm just going to leave it at that. It made number 3 on the list. Fuck Hostel 3. I can't stand that movie. I don't even know why I still have it, because I can, easily throw it in the trash and make space, but I'm a collector, man. I like my DVD collection. I'm very proud of it, but that shit is just taking up space. That's dust that, I'd rather that dust that is collecting go on something else, because the dust is way more deserving of a different bad movie than this piece of shit. Now, moving on from that. This one hurts too, because this is another case where the second movie was way better than it should have been. The first movie was a hit. They knocked it out the park for me, and they did it with very little violence at all and very little gore. But second one, way better than it should have been, and I favored the second one a lot. But this, and the person attached to this movie, I was like heartbroken to just know that, like 2 people actually, I was just heartbroken to know that they were just a part of this project. 2005's Urban Legends Bloody Mary. The third entry in this Urban Legends series, people. Surprisingly, this is one of the 2 things that really broke my heart about this movie. Mary Lambert directed this movie. Now, if that name didn't ring any bells for my horror fans out there, Mary Lambert is the director of the classic, the original classic, not that mundane, mediocre remake, Pet Sematary. She also directed Pet Sematary 2. Like, Mary, like, come on now. Come on. Why? I don't know how she attached herself to this. I'm not sure. But the screenplay was written by Dan Harris. I'm not familiar with his work. But the screenplay was also written by Michael Dougherty, who wrote X-Men 2, Superman Returns. I think he directed and wrote Trick or Treat, the anthology, with Sam and Krampus, which is one of the greatest Christmas movies ever. And it's a Christmas horror movie. We don't get a lot of those, or we don't get a lot of good ones per se. But, Michael Dougherty and Mary, there's a conversation that needs to be had. Like, I would love to interview one of you 2 or just both of you guys at the same time. Like, listen, why? But that's going to be my first question, is why? Then I'll move on to I'm a big fan of you guys' work, blah, blah, blah. But it's like, why? This cast, you know what? Before I go into the cast, let's talk about the first movie. Like I said, they knocked it out the park. I love Urban Legend. Alicia Witt, Joshua Jackson, Michael Rosenbaum, Tara Reid, Jared Leto, Rebecca Gayheart, Loretta Devine. I think Michael Levine is the guy's name. I love the cast, man. It's in the same continuity, or not continuity, but it's in the same style as shit like Scream and I Know What You Did Last Summer, and just that wave of slasher movies. I love that movie. It's very innovative. It's very creative. It keeps you guessing. It keeps you wondering what's going to be the next legend. Oh, I cannot forget Danielle Harris and Brad Dourif and Natasha Gregson Wagner was in that movie. Can't forget them. It's got a lot of genre, and Robert Englund. It's got a lot of genre. That movie is for horror fans. It's its own thing, and it was very original, but it is for horror fans, because you don't just put people like, Robert Englund and Danielle Harris and a Brad Dourif in a movie like that. It's definitely for us. And shout out to oh man, what is that director's name of the first Urban Legend? I'm sorry, I cannot think of that director's name, but he also directed Valentine. I'll think of it as as this goes along. But the first movie is great, and they, like I said, they got away with that without being bloody, without being gory. Like I said it before. I did an episode where I was talking about the Urban Legend. I think it's a remake that they've got coming out, but it's going to be very much with the times. It's going to be really, they're basically going to modernize it. And I'm absolutely fine with that, because this is an era where, chain letters and shit like that, shit can spread really fast and shit can get out of hand, social media, that kind of thing. So I'm cool with that. Jamie Blanks is that director's name. Big shout out to Jamie Blanks for directing Urban Legend. But the first one's a classic for me. The second one, I can't remember that director's name. And the point I was going to make prior to talking about the second movie was that the violence, I like to use the term, the violence is done very tastefully. It's not too over the top. It's not too gratuitous. So I can appreciate that. The second movie, I have a real soft spot for the second movie, because the whole angle for film students working on thesis films to get the Hitchcock Award, but someone is literally killing off the competition as they're making a movie. So it's like a movie within a movie in itself. I love that, man. And the second Urban Legend could have easily been trash, but it was really decent, man. And they put my boy Joseph Lawrence in there from Blossom. You know what I'm saying? They put him in there. Or was it Matthew Lawrence? No, it was Joseph Lawrence. They put him in there. And Loretta Devine came back, and she lived, one of the few final black girls to live. Jennifer Morrison's in it. She's great in it. And Hugh, what is his name? Not Hugh, but Hart Bachner from Die Hard. He's the asshole dude that gets shot in the head by Alan Rickman. But the second movie is decent. It's not as good as the first one, but I just really got a sauce. Me being like a film geek and a writer and stuff like that, and wanting to be on a film set one day, that movie's really special to me, and it was really a lot better than it should have been. And Rebecca Gayhart's the only returning character. She played Brenda the killer in the first movie, but she comes back to wheel Hart Bachner, who spoiler alert, is the killer at the end of the second movie. She comes to wheel him out of the institution. So we thought we were going to be getting a sequel. Like, shit, Hart Bachner and Rebecca Gayhart teaming up for Urban Legend 3, count me in. I was excited when that movie ended. And I was like, not only was the movie good, but the ending made me smile. And I'm like, holy shit, like, we're getting a part 3 where they're going to team up together. They're both crazy as hell. Nah, nope. 2005 came along, and in came Mary Lambert with this bullshit. And, the cast is pretty much non-existent here. The main person that I've recognized in this cast, I've recognized two people mainly. Kate Mara, she plays Sam. She's the main character in this, but she plays Sue Storm in the Fantastic Four reboot. I know a lot of people hate that movie. I don't mind it as a standalone sci-fi movie. I just don't like it as a Fantastic Four movie. I do like Jessica Alba better as Sue Storm. I'm not gonna lie, but Kate Mara's in this. Tina Lifford is in this movie, who plays Grace. And Tina Lifford, if nobody knows that name, she plays Otis's mother in the Temptations miniseries. Love her, man. She's a great actress. And then you got this guy, Robert Vito, who plays David. He was in Spy Kids 3. I've never seen any Spy Kids movies. I'm not into it. I don't even think my daughter's into it much at all. But, this is a movie where this premise, we go supernatural again. That same I always know what you did last summer twist bullshit. We go supernatural, where in the first two movies we were so grounded in reality. It was so the integrity of an Urban Legend movie was still there. But now we had to go super fucking natural. And basically there's a girl named Mary who dies at her prom. I think it's a prank or something, but her ghost comes back to commit these murders on these kids. And the murders are that of urban legends, I guess. I've never heard of an urban legend where a guy's pissing on an electrical fence or something like that, and electricity just travels into his dick and he just gets electrocuted to death. They do one thing here that is a classic urban legend. It's actually in Scary Movies to Tell in the Dark, both the book and the movie that just recently came out, or not recently, but y'all get what I'm saying. But there is the red spot where the girl has a spider bite and all the spiders pour out, but the spiders are even more CG than they are in the Scary Stories to Tell in Dark movie. So that scene fucking sucks. It is messed up though, because she slams her face into the mirror Either that, or she breaks the mirror somehow when the spiders start crawling out, and she takes a shard of glass and sticks it in her head or something like that. It's a nasty scene, but the CG spiders look like shit. But that's the premise. A Bloody Mary's coming back to haunt these motherfuckers and all types of what you have it. And I say that to say this. Again, there's no pros here. There's nothing here that makes me cheer for this movie to be good in any type of way. Like, nor I will throw a bone to something like Leprechaun in the Hood, which is actually a crazy guilty pleasure for me. I'll throw a bone to something like Hellraiser 3, which wasn't going to make this list at all, because Hellraiser 3 surpasses all of these third entries I'm talking about. But there's nothing here, which means that all the rest are cons, man. The acting fucking sucks, and that's no disrespect to the chick that plays Otis's mom in The Temptations. She's like the only black face in here, but it's like she's got that afro wig on. So obvious, like she's like trapped in a time warp. She's like stuck in the 70s or some shit. And she's like she's basically the they call it the Negro spiritual in a movie and shit. Like it's like, come on, man. If you're gonna be the token black person, don't be like the cliche, the super ultimate cliche. Like, come on now. The acting's bad. The execution's bad. I don't care for the directing. I don't care for these fucking characters one bit. I don't even remember the rest of these characters in this movie nor their names. I don't care for Bloody Mary. I will watch Darkness Falls before I watch this shit, and I can't stand that movie because it was just such a disappointment with the whole Tooth Fairy angle. It could have been something special, but it wasn't. But I would take that, just in the aspect that it's a supernatural woman who has an actual backstory, and she comes back to, seek revenge and shit like that. This does not work, man. Stop going. Let me take a breath. Let me breathe. Stop going supernatural with these fucking movies that are just so grounded. Like something like Friday the 13th, I get it, because Jason, if you think about it, Jason was supposedly drowned. He never was human in the first place. He just was a guy who seemed human, and he bled and stuff like that. But when you put an axe to when you put a fucking machete through this man's side, his shoulder, literally down his shoulder, when you put an axe in his head, he's not human. Now I get we had to go full-blown supernatural zombie Frankenstein Jason in Jason Lives, but it's in context for the most part. This is not, man. I don't know why they chose to do this. I don't know what the contracts were, or if they call Rebecca Gayheart and Hart Bachner and the director and writer of The Last Urban Legend. I'm not sure what happened, but that movie was way too decent for them to churn out this piece of shit. There's nothing here. If you're a fan of the first one, and if you haven't seen the second one, I do recommend the second Urban Legend. If you're a fan of the second one and you're expecting a follow-up from that ending, this ain't what you want. It's really not. But if you don't take my word for it, then please, by all means, watch Urban Legends Bloody Mary. I guarantee you will be just as disappointed as I was, maybe more, because I'm actually pretty calm right now. I'm glad I did this episode. I mean, it's early, so I'm not drinking this early, but it's like, I'm glad I didn't do an episode like this drunk or even a few beers in or something like that, because it would have been a lot worse. Now, since we're almost an hour in, let's wrap this shit up, people, with number 5. And this one kind of hurt, and it hurt in the sense that I appreciate what they tried to do, what they tried to go for in the sense of being a prequel. But again, execution. There are just things that weren't done. Even like the second movie is bad. The first one's classic. The second movie's bad, but it's entertainingly bad. It's a guilty pleasure for me because it's so silly. This one could have been the one to be like, you know what? The second one was bad, but they kind of brought it back around with this one. Nope. Nah. Another snooze fest. And I hate to say it, because there's a part of me that likes a lot of things in this movie, but overall, nah, man. And that, people, is From Dusk Till Dawn 3, The Hangman's Daughter, which came out in 1999. This was directed by a guy named PJ Pesci. I don't know if he's any relation to Joe. I don't think so, because they spell his name differently. But this guy he directed a couple episodes in the Tremors TV series. That was short-lived. I think Burt Gummer, Michael Gross was in that one too. Short-lived series. I never really got into it though. He directed The Lost Boys 2, The Tribe. I saw it. Definitely nowhere near as good as the first one, but it was like, all right. Tom Savini had a cameo in it. I think Corey Haim had a cameo at the end of it. You know, what's his name? Corey Feldman came back. Recipe shout out to Corey Haim, by the way. But Corey Feldman came back to play what was his name? Edgar Frog, or I don't know if I got the name wrong, but I know he is one of the Frog brothers. He came back to be in it. And PJ Pesci also directed Smoking Aces 2, which I definitely need to go back and watch. I've seen Smoking Aces 2 fully once, but I had a lot of shit going on, so I didn't get a chance to really sit down with it the way I need to. And it's actually a prequel to the first Smoking Aces, and from what I remember, it wasn't really bad at all, and I love the cast, but I love the idea of it being a prequel. So, and this is another one of those instances like with Eli Roth and Hostel 3. The writers, I do not believe that Robert Rodriguez was one of the writers on this, man. Now, Alvaro Rodriguez, I think that might be his brother. They both, you know, co-wrote the script together. Alvaro Rodriguez has Machete to his credits, his writing credits. Robert Rodriguez, we already know what's up with him, man. He produced one of the Predators movies, the one where they were on the planet. Come on now, The Faculty, from the original From Dusk Till Dawn, Planet Terror. Like, he's awesome, man. He's fucking awesome. I love Robert Rodriguez, man. Oh yeah, and of course the Desperado movies. You know, Desperado, El Mariachi, and Once Upon a Time in Mexico. Now, the cast here actually isn't terrible. I can't say that it's terrible, man. You got Marco Leonardi, who plays Johnny. He's the one that's getting, you know, that the hangman has it out for. He's actually he's not a bad actor. He is a bit of a badass in the movie, which works in his favor, being as though it's a third entry going straight to DVD again. Ara Seli, I think I'm saying her name right. She actually plays the Selma Hayek character, but just younger, since this is a prequel. She plays Santanico Pandemonium. That's why I said this is great as a sequel. The idea of it is great, to find out where Selma Hayek's character came from, how she came upon the titty twister before it was the titty twister. Cause it's more of a brothel in this movie. Like, you go in certain rooms and they're just men having sex with all these women, or just vampire women just surrounding all these men. It's more like a brothel with a bar in the front, that, you know, doubles as like a motel kind of thing, but it's like an old Western. That's where it takes place at. And I like the actress that plays the young Santanico Pandemonium. And you've got Tamara Morrison, who plays the hangman, Santanico Pandemonium's father. And if nobody recognizes him, he was Arthur Curry, you know, Aquaman's dad in the Aquaman movie. That was Jason Momoa's dad in that movie. And Danny Trejo comes back. He's not Razor Eddie this time. He's Razor Charlie. But Danny Trejo is the only continuity that these three movies have, because he comes back for every single one of them. God bless Danny Trejo, man. The man's a genre. He's definitely a genre staple, and he's a national treasure for that. And then you got, you know, Rebecca Gayheart, who plays Mary. She's like this quaint little Southern gal, Southern belle. Michael Parks, he plays Ambrose. He was in the first movie. I think he played the sheriff. So I'm assuming this is one of the sheriff's descendants. You know, he's the sheriff in Benny's World of Liquor that gets shot in the head in the beginning. And Orlando Jones, of all people, was in this movie. He plays Ezra. You know, he is one of the ugliest vampires you are going to see in this movie, next to the snake vampire. But yeah, Orlando Jones is in this. Why? I have no fucking idea. Now, the pros in this movie, before we wrap this up, people, like I said, the idea of a prequel, you know, and that had to be explained, or whether in a sequel or a prequel, because the end of Dusk Till Dawn left it wide open when they showed the titty twister, and then they zoomed out and showed that this shit basically was a pyramid that was levels down, layers down. So it's like, who built it? What's down there? You know, if the titty twister up top was just the beginning, what the fuck is down there? I love the ending of From Dusk Till Dawn, when they show that the titty twister is a goddamn pyramid out in the middle of nowhere. I love that. So the idea that they're going to expand on this in prequel form was cool. I was with that. You know, I remember seeing the trailer when I got the second movie, and I'm like, okay, I'm interested to know how Santanico turned into a vampire, how she recruited people, how the origins of this thing started. And it's not one of those types of things where, oh, I don't need no backstory. The unexplained is a lot better. No, I wouldn't mind knowing how head vampires turned into themselves and how everything came about. I'm cool with that. And another pro is there are some decent gore scenes here, but there's also some really bad CG that follows up with that gore sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes. And the cast here is solid. The cast overall, I'm not sure if it's better than the second movie. Nothing's fucking with that first movie cast. Of course, George Clooney, Harvey Keitel, Juliette Lewis, Quentin Tarantino, Fred Williamson, Tom Savini, even Greg Nicotero's in that movie. And Cheech Marin, he plays like 3 different roles in that movie. But the cast is decent here. So we got a few pros here, but not enough to outweigh the cons, people, because again, this movie, compared to how dumb fun the second movie is, the second movie again is bad. It's a terrible, terrible movie. But the cast sells it. The camera angles are over the top. It's almost like a fucking comic book. But it's dumb fun. It's a guilty pleasure for me as a vampire movie. But this is a snooze fest compared to that, man. It's a very boring prequel, sequel, whatever you want to call it. It's a boring follow-up, man. It really is. And the characters, as good as the cast is, the characters aren't interesting. You know, the most interesting characters are Johnny, the outlaw, Santanico Pandemonium, and the Hangman. Those are the most interesting characters. I don't give a shit about any of the other ones. You know, there's a female character who's doing the whole pitch black shtick where she's acting like a cowboy, but she's acting like a cowboy, literally a guy, and then we find out it's a girl. And of course, you know, she's not gonna last long because she's almost fucking useless. And you know, even when they go for the whole, the doors close in a whole new way and the titty twister, everybody turns into vampires, and then we get the whole massacre happening, it still was not all that impressive because we've seen it before. You know, whether they put a big snake vampire in there or not, it's just not as impressive as what they did when they locked them doors in the first Dusk Till Dawn and that chick's face transforms when she says dinner is served. I was like, holy shit, man, it's going down. You literally see heads rolling on the floor, blood flying. There's a fucking band on stage playing. He's strumming a guitar made out of a human torso, and there's a leg stuck in the torso, and he literally turns him into a guitar. You see somebody playing like a wind instrument, but the wind instrument is somebody's spine with the head still attached to the bottom of it. It's crazy. So there's no way you're going to live up to that, you know, shit hits the fan moment from the first movie. They try it here. They do try it. I'll give them credit for trying, but it's just not effective, man. And they could have did something completely different. They could have put a whole new spin on it with this being a prequel. Now, there is this woman who's trying to be the mentor vampire of Santanico Pandemonium, and it's like, nah, you're so fucking over the top. Like, vampires are very sensual, sexual, charismatic beings and all of that, seductive, whatever you want to call it, but she's just over the top. She's like a cartoon character, man. These characters, they're not interesting at all, man. And it sucks because I wanted to like this movie. I did not want to put it on the list, but then I was only 4 movies in and I'm like, wait, there's like something has to go on here. I said, I'm not putting Scream 3 on here because I love Scream 3. It's my favorite sequel in the series. Of course, the first one is the best, but Scream 3 is my favorite sequel. I was not putting Hellraiser 3 on here because as much as it's nowhere near as good as and disturbing as the second movie, Hellraiser 3 is very entertaining, man. That scene where they're in the club and Pinhead closes the doors and he's like, shall we begin? And everybody just starts, everybody's up for grabs in that scene. I love it. And the practical effects are amazing in that scene. But, you know, there are certain third entries I was not putting on here. You can kind of count Blade Trinity as a horror movie since there's vampires in it. I have a soft spot for that movie too. There are certain movies that whether people like them or not, I was not going to, or whether they didn't live up to the second movie, I was not going to put them on here by any means in comparison to these fucking 5 piece of shit third entries in this series, people. Now, what did we learn? What did we learn? We learned what I gathered from this. If your second entry, let's just say your second entry does not live up to the claim of the first one, that's cool. But if your second entry gets feedback that is unexpected because you're trying to live up to the essence of a classic first movie, take your time. Do not rush into it. Do not go batshit crazy and go supernatural if it's grounded in reality the way it is. Do not fumble a prequel idea. Do not try to cash in and hire a bunch of no-name actors and actresses that nobody could give two shits from a rat's ass about. Don't do it, man, because what's going to happen is you're going to fuck up your chances for a franchise. They're going to say, you know what? If part 3 was even mildly entertaining and we got some good feedback, part 4 could have even went straight to DVD and we could have kept this bitch rocking and rolling. Look at Hellraiser. Hellraiser 4 was the last theatrical release. And there's obviously such a fan base or such a contract for Hellraiser that they went on and did Hellraiser Inferno. They did Hellraiser Hellseeker. They did Hellraiser Deader. They did Hellraiser Hellworld. They did Hellraiser Revelations. They did Hellraiser Judgment. And now they got a TV show with David Gordon Green attached to it and Clive Barker. How about that? But one of the things you don't want to do is fuck up your chances to start a franchise. I don't consider 3 movies a franchise. I consider that a trilogy. Now, when they go on and say, you know what, let's expand, then you can go batshit crazy. If you do part 4, I feel like that's when you can take a lot of different liberties and, show your ass a little bit. Not literally, because that's almost what these motherfuckers did when they made these corny ass sequels. But I feel like when if you get a third entry that gets feedback, whether it goes straight to DVD, theatrical, or whatever, or straight to streaming, who cares? If you get decent feedback that's almost as good as the second one, or if it's as good as the second one, then yeah, you don't fumble an opportunity to make a part 4 or a part 5 and you got yourself a franchise. But nah, when they do that, and when it fumbles and it flops, they say, no. We got to go back to the drawing board. Let's take this eraser, wipe everything off of this board, and let's start from scratch. We're either going to do a TV show or we're going to do a reboot. You know what I'm saying? That's what happens. And what happened? From Dusk Till Dawn got a TV show. I actually have it on my watch list on Netflix, but I haven't gotten into it. I wasn't sold on the guys who were playing Seth and Richie. But as it went on, I started to get into it. And then you got Wilmer Valderrama, whatever his name is, from that 70s show. He's in it playing a badass. And I'm like, okay, I can get into this. And, I still got to finish it. But they got a TV show. And it had a nice run. I don't know why it got canceled or whatever the case may be. Urban Legend. After that, what happened? They said, nope, we're going for a more modern reboot. Nowadays we're going for a more modern reboot. What they do with Hostel, shit, I don't know if it's a TV show or a reboot coming. I actually wouldn't mind a Hostel reboot. That's something where you can do a soft reboot. You can do a direct sequel to Hostel 2, actually, because that's same continuity and everything, because Jay Hernandez came back to play his character from the first movie and he gets killed in the opening scene, which nobody saw coming. His fucking head gets cut off and gets taken to the people that got the bloodhounds tattoos from the hostels and shit like that. But yeah, I wouldn't mind a direct sequel to Hostel 2 with with some of the returning characters. Even if you kill the girl off that survived and cut the guy's dick off at the end of part 2. Even if you killed her off in the beginning, if you do a direct sequel to part 2, I don't mind that at all. What did they do with I Know What You Did Last Summer? That third one, they said, nope, this is a stinker. Let's go back to the drawing board for a couple years. More than a couple years. And over a decade, actually. And what do we have? A TV show coming. Same thing with Candyman. Not a TV show, but after the third one, there were plans. Even after as bad as the third one was, there were plans for Candyman 4. And it was going to be set in New England at an all-girls college. If you look at, I think it's in the Dead Projects. It's either in Dead Projects or sequels categories on upcominghorrormovies.com. You can see and look at the little small details they put for Candyman 4 because it was in the works and they wanted Tony Todd to come back. But what did they do? They had a direct sequel to the first movie. Respectfully, rightfully so, but I wouldn't have mind if they kept Farewell to the Flesh in there. Candyman Day of the Dead, that third movie fucking sucks, but this is what happens, people. When you fumble shit like that, they go back to the drawing board on your ass. So y'all need to take notes, man. Y'all need to take notes with these third entries, man, because three times is not always a charm in these instances, people. It's really not. And there has been over an hour worth of content that I talked you guys head off for, but I appreciate y'all, man, if y'all stuck around and listen to my little mini rant about these movies. But y'all already know what to do, man, and if y'all don't, which y'all already should, it's a snow day. Not a snow day per se, but everything's freezing up. It's still snow on the ground, so if y'all got some time to kill, y'all already know, man. Y'all can follow the podcast on Anchor, Spotify, iTunes, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Overcast, Pocket Cast, Breaker, and Radio Public. Shout out to Anchor. Follow me on Facebook and Instagram, Romero Tutor. Shout out to the Facebook movie group, the Cinemaniacs. Welcome to all the new members. Like I said, I don't know everybody's names right away, but come one, come all, man. Y'all all are welcome. We all share the same love of cinema and all that other good stuff. And last but not least, shout out to the Tutor reviewers, the listeners, the lovers, the supporters out there, man. Again, I'm gonna say this again. It feels good to get actual topic bound content out to y'all, man. I don't want to keep bombarding everybody with just commentary after commentary after commentary. So I'm trying to fill this notebook up. Got a fresh ass notebook, trying to fill it up with a lot of different topics. I want to make sure the topics are well put together, fairly relevant. Like I said, I don't like doing filler episodes. I know I sound like a broken record every time I do these outros, but as long as everybody knows, I want these to be genuine episodes. I want the topics to be interesting, whether I'm going on a rant or whether I'm praising something or not, or whether I'm doing like my top 5 or top 10 this, or doing a list of this or doing a list of that. I'll probably do another one later on, but it is Steven Spielberg's birthday, so happy birthday to one of the GOATs. That I say that to say this, I do want to do a commentary today, and I'll put a poll up, not a stripper poll, get y'all minds out the gutter. I'll put a poll up, a voting poll in the Cinemaniacs movie group on Facebook to see whether I should do Jurassic Park, Indiana Jones, Jaws, or E.T. I'm pretty sure if I do commentary for E.T. people, that might be an intoxic commentary. I will not make y'all any promises, but E.T. is one of those movies I can watch it completely sober. I can watch it any day of the week. But it's just that scene where E.T., when they find him by the creek and he's like dying, I get emotional, man. So I'm gonna need a drink or something if I watch that movie. I'm not gonna need one, but I could use one if I do E.T. That's only if I do E.T. But yeah, man. So I wanted to do something, at least one commentary for Spielberg's birthday, but I am going to try to bang out another like content mound episode for y'all today, because why not, man? Y'all already know why. The love and support y'all show me, man, I show it back to y'all tenfold and then some. So with that being said, people, yours truly, Romero Tutor. Another episode of Tutor Reviews in the can. I'll check y'all on the next one.